a lot of articles have said Thomas Rhett returns to his roots. And I think that's a very true statement, because I think when I was coming up in college and, playing bars and playing for my friends and stuff, like, it was just me and a guitar, and that sort of got away from me a little bit as far as like, wanting to explore so many different sounds. But for me, when I started writing these songs, I never felt more kind of just in tune to where I'm at as a 31-year-old, if that makes any sense.
And it goes like, hey, girl, I'm blown away.
Country music star Thomas Rhett released his breakout double platinum single, It Goes Like This, back in 2013. By now, his resume includes 4 studio albums, 17 #1 singles, and 7 ACM awards.
Thank you for this award. Thank you, ACM.
Today, the 31-year-old singer-songwriter, husband, and father of 3 is about to release album number 5, Country Again, which he's rolling out in 2 parts. Side A is set to drop on April 30th, while Side B will come later this year.
Man, it feels good to be country again.
I feel like these songs on this record are stories about the last 10 years of my life, but never really came to fruition until the last couple years, And I definitely would not call this a pandemic record, but I would call it things I've learned from the pandemic record. I think I've just learned to live a little bit more simple, and really learned where my priorities were compared to where they should have been. And, I put a lot of weight in the last, decade of, I'm Thomas Rhett, the artist, and that is my first, that is what I know myself by, and there was a shift in me that I was just like, man, I just don't think that is how I can do this for the next 50 years, because one day you're gonna look back and you're gonna go, well, when I was 31 years old, was I putting everything that I had into music and leaving the scraps for, my kids and my wife, or did I put so much into being a good dad and a good husband? And so just had a lot of these questions sort of running through my mind, and just that simple saying of just living a little bit more simple and kind of being in the present is kind of what fell out of me when it came to Country Again, side A, if you will.
For Thomas Rhett, the biggest lesson of the pandemic came thanks to a wake-up call from his wife, Lauren Akins.
I remember for like the first 40 or 50 days of quarantine, I was like panicking, like I didn't know what to do. And so I feel like I kept trying to just overwork myself and, book 2-a-day co-writes every day, or just try to figure out a way to be productive. And then one day my wife was like, because I told her, I was like, well, I can't be productive like this. And she was like, why don't you, in a very loving way, was just like, why don't you be productive here, And it was kind of it was the gut punch that I needed, to kind of just wake up from this, life without touring. And once I started to really settle into that, I've never been more creative ever, in 10 years. It was just like all of a sudden my co-writes were just going incredible. And it was like almost every song that I was writing on Zoom was also getting recorded for the album. And it was like everything that was happening was flowing out for a reason. And I kind of think it took a little bit of that, of what my wife said, to kind of put me back down to earth and be like, hey, you are more than just a singer. You're your dad, your husband, you're a friend, you're this and you're that. And so I think I just had to figure out, who was I without a guitar? And that was the main question that I kind of had to answer for myself.
Thomas Rhett and Lauren have been married nearly 9 years, and like most couples, they've had their share of ups and downs. Last August, Lauren published a revealing and inspiring best-selling memoir, Live in Love, growing together through life's changes.
I remember when Lauren and I first started dating, I think I told her, I was like, I'm not sure that you're going to enjoy what I'm about to do for a living. Because I think, in many ways our life is simple, but in many ways our life is the most unsimple life in the world, that part in Lauren's book where it talks about her just kind of, resenting me for life revolved around TR, you know what I mean? That part of our lives, it feels like an eternity ago, but when I look back at it, I can remember specific times, like she said in her book, when, I was playing a show in Nashville and all of her friends were there, and she was in Uganda, pregnant, throwing up in a hotel. You talk about a marriage where you are on 2 different wavelengths. like can't be in more different worlds from each other. In a nutshell, that was kind of something that we had to come to terms with. You know what I'm saying? And Lauren graduated from nursing school at the University of Tennessee. Dreamed that she was going to be a nurse, and probably had plans of marrying somebody that was going to be home every night and not especially not do what I do. But I think as we've done this life together and we've learned how to talk about those things, like I've learned, I think, how to just be better about it. And so I just think, that time in our marriage was sad, but it was necessary. I think to just kind of wake up to the fact that, hey, we're on two different wavelengths. We got to get back to this oneness. You know what I mean? Like, you tell me what you need from me, I'll tell you what I need from you, and let's try to compromise here and try to figure it out. And so, I think if you don't have those moments in your marriage, like how would you ever know if something was wrong? And so I was just super proud of Lauren for being so vulnerable in that book and sharing so much about our lives, because, man, there's so many marriages out there that might be experiencing the same thing, just on a different level, and I just hope that people can, read that book and hear my story, hear her story, and hopefully kind of, learn from our mistakes a little bit. Lenny, what are you doing? What?
So far, Thomas Rhett and Lauren have 3 children together, all girls: 5-year-old Willa Gray, who they adopted from Uganda, 3-year-old Ada James, and 1-year-old Lennon Love.
They're all so different, but yet they're all so loving, and they all have their own unique personalities. And one thing I've loved to do over this past year is get to spend quality time with each of them. It's really easy to kind of get in this trend of we do everything together. All 5 of us go to the park, all 5 of us go to the beach, all 5 of us do this. But if you can find like a couple days in there for me to take Willa Gray to get an ice cream cone, just us 2, is like the best thing ever. You know what I'm saying? And then with Ada James and Lennon, I love to spend time with them one-on-one in the studio. They all love music, and they all love to come down here separately, and I'll just get a guitar and they'll bang on the piano, or I'll pull up my Pro Tools rig and put some drum beats on there, and they'll just sit up here and play. And like, I just love getting to spend one-on-one time with each of them, which is something that I didn't think was really important. I just thought that as long as the 5 of us were together, we were good. But I think the longer I've gone as a dad, it's like each child really does need that one-on-one time with their dad and that one-on-one time with their mom. In the same way that me and Lauren just need time with each other, I think our kids need that one-on-one time with us. And so that's been really cool, and something that I look forward to every week is just kind of thinking of new ways to kind of, get adventurous with each kid. So
For Thomas Rhett and Lauren, the key to parenting lies in one simple word: kindness.
Man, we preach kindness like it is our job. I think one of our biggest things is like, we just want you to be really, really respectful to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, have your personality, have this. Like, I understand that you and your sisters are going to fight. You and your sisters are going to disagree with stuff. But if we can end those disagreements and argument with kindness, that's kind of like the first thing that's like our standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, we treat people with kindness and we treat people with love. And it's what we say in their prayers at night. It's what we speak over them at night. And I hope that at the end of the day, they can remember Lauren and I's words of just like, treat people with kindness. Even if you're not being treated that way, give it back to them. That's something I've had a lot of talks with Ada James about, of just like, hey baby, I know that you don't fully understand this, but treat people how you want to be treated. If you want me to treat you with kindness, treat me with kindness. And so I would say that is kind of the number one thing on our list today, to like really just try to bring home.
While Thomas Rhett couldn't be happier with his family of 5, there has been talk of adding a new member.
Willa Gray did say something the other day that she's like, Daddy, I really want another sister. And so, maybe we'll make that happen here in the near future. We'll see. Well, I would love a son, but at the same time, I'm so used to embracing this girl dad life that I don't really know what I would do with a boy, to be honest with you.
I guess I'm growing up. Oh, I'm growing up.
It's like I'm comfortable in my skin. You know what I'm saying? I've completely entered the fact that I'm no longer young. I'm not old, but I'm not young anymore. And I think, I think as artists, we want to stay as young as we can and for as long as we can, and I think for me, I've kind of just embraced the dad life, the fact that I am growing up. My favorite line in that growing up song is, "I'm still the kid I was, I just drink less."
I'm still the kid I was, just a little less Jack in my cup.
And so I think for me, I think I've just embraced adulthood, and I think that has kind of shifted into the way that I write songs with a little bit more maturity in them, and being honest about some of the lessons I've learned, and being vulnerable about the things that I have done and been, and just kind of happy to be a little bit on the other side of that today.